Hi, Beth. I'm so excited to do this with you. We're going to have so much fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yay. So let's just dive right in. What is
Okay.
going on for you? How can I help you?
So what's going on for me is I am stuck in the mud and spinning in my own head about how to get started on my business. And I'm trying to I have done so much work and so much groundwork and so much information, but it's that taking that very first step that I can't seem to get there. I'm like, I don't know if it's a mind block thing, or I don't know if it's a I need something else thing, or an identification about like like I've done so much work around who do I want to work with? What do I want to do? What does that look like? And it's still sort of amorphous. So I'm having a hard time sort of getting really clarity on that.
So you've done this groundwork, but even within the groundwork, it feels murky.
Yes.
Okay, so when you like of all those things, of who you want to work with, what you want to do, and how you want to do it, right? Those are kind of like the basic pillars of getting started. Of those things, right? Which one feels the clearest?
Oh, that's okay. Which one feels the clearest? Who do I want to work with? What do I want to do? And how do I want to do it? Is that
Yeah.
the question?
Yeah.
How do I want to do it feels the clearest.
Okay, great. So let's start there.
Okay.
Right? It's always great to start with what's already working, right? If you're like, I already know how I want to do it, then let's talk about how do you want to do it?
Okay. So I want to do it through community. That to me feels like what is the strongest and the best sort of way to ground everything together. Um, and to start it, but that's I think that's one of the things is that I keep coming up against is, okay, well, I want to have a party, but who's going to come? Like, are they going to want to come to my party and be in the community and that kind of thing? And so I have a lot of clear ideas about what sort of the structure of it and how it goes on, but it's the meeting together of, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think that really specifically knowing who helps to even create the invite list, right? It's like, will you come to my party? I have literally invited nobody. So no, they won't come because they don't know about it yet, right? So we have to, it's like literally thinking of it like a party. I think that this will really help you because you're clear about the community part. You're clear that it's a party, right? I'm having a party over here. I want to invite people to it. Now it's like, okay, the invite list has to be made. So knowing who is it that you want to gather for this community experience, and to really think about it rather than, I think sometimes when we're like, who's your client avatar? It can be like very heady, to actually just think, who do you want to come to your party? Like, who would be the best to come to this community experience with you? And think about, what are the kinds of conversations that you want to have in that community? What kind of people would want to have those? What would their values be? Where would they be in their lives? Like, what stage of life might they be in? What are their maybe thoughts about things? Maybe like what does their free time look like? Do they have lots and lots of free time? They could come to your party anytime, or they actually have 9 to 5 jobs, and so they could pretty much come in the evening or on weekends, right? So these kinds of things start it being more fun, right? It's just like, oh, okay, I'm having a party. Like, if I were to have a party even just at my house and I wanted to have like a costume party, I'm like, I know who I would invite and who I wouldn't invite. Like, some of my friends would come like in costume, even if it wasn't a costume party. And some of my friends wouldn't wear a costume, right? And so I'd be like, well, you might not get invited to my costume party then, right? So rather than it being necessarily forever, we can just start, because I think we can also get to like, is this the kind of person I want to work with in 10 years? Who knows? It may change. Instead of being like, I'm having a party, who do I want to invite? Does that help loosen up that question a little bit?
Yes. And it just by saying it's a costume party or not a costume party gives me an idea of it's okay to have different kind of parties.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is that, and yes, so it does loosen it up a lot about around, okay, it doesn't have to be quite so strict and stringent. It could be fun. Like I could think about it in a fun way.
You know me, I'm always going to bring it back to fun. I'm like, okay, let's make this fun as quick as we can.
Yeah.
The other thing about it too is to think that we often think that it's going to be forever, right? But you're going to change a lot. And I think especially in the beginning of our businesses, the idea that like it has to get really close to perfect before I take a step, because as soon as I take that step, it is going to be cemented in the history of the planet forever and ever. Right? Wow. Okay. No pressure, except lots of pressure.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is you're going to change a lot. You're going to change, your business is going to change, your ideal client is going to change. And to let that actually be an organic thing, lets you be able to take the step.
Because the other part that I'm sticking with that is hard for me is that, okay, what if I don't participate in a certain particular way in a certain, like every single week and in this group that I'm creating and all of that stuff that, yeah.
So when you say that, I'm curious, like what, if you create a community that you want to participate in and that you're like, this is fun. I created a party. It's fun. I want to be there.
I want to go to the party. Yeah.
You'll probably want to go to the party. So first of all, if it's something that you want, you'll likely participate. But when you have that, like, what if I don't? What's actually happening there?
Well, inside it's going like it's like holding back, and what's going on is what if I don't do it right? Like there's a, well, I don't, what if I don't show up at my party right? Like that's stupid. Like it's my party. There is no, I get to make the rules about what is and is not okay. And yeah. And maybe, yeah.
But I think even within that, to say there really is no right, like there is no objective right way to show up. And so it is going to also be wrong. You're going to show up both right and wrong, because if there's a right, there's a wrong, right? And so we throw them both away and then we're like, hey, I'm just here.
Right.
But I think that it will free you up a lot to be willing to do it wrong.
Right.
Because as we move through community and as we coach people and are with people, we are going to do it wrong sometimes. Not just like they thought it was wrong. We may also agree, like, ooh, that was actually probably not well thought out that I said that. And I didn't need to, and I'm sorry, and I love you. And how do I make it right? But the willingness to both make a mistake allows us to move forward. And the willingness to admit our mistakes allows us to be a safe place to be. Right? I may make mistakes, but if you tell that, like, I'm also willing to be like, oh yeah, I see that was a mistake and I'm sorry. And let me make amends for that. And let me see like how I can do better in the future. Because I have had communities for a long time and I've definitely made mistakes along the way. But if every time I made a mistake, I like lost my, shit, I would not be here anymore. Instead, I had to be like, I hear you. And it's an ego thing for me, it was a big, like, working with my ego who wanted to do it right. I was like, I do so much. I try so hard. I love you so much. Like, right. My ego is like, I am good. Right.
Right.
And then I actually did something like intentionally, unintentionally. I mean, it was always unintentional on my part, but I did something and it actually caused you to feel sad, bad, like it didn't land right. I didn't like navigate that situation between you two people as well as I could have. And then it was brought to my attention. And immediately, of course, my ego goes like, but I didn't mean to, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you didn't mean to, Briana, but you did. And can you soften and allow yourself to learn and to really be humble in that situation to say, thank you, please tell me more. I actually want to hear because I want to learn. And it takes a lot of inner work to be able to do that piece, but this is all stuff I know that you are capable of doing and you will do.
Right.
But I think holding on to right makes us create less safe containers. Because it's like if we think we have to do right, guess who else thinks they have to be right to be there?
Everybody else.
Yeah. And if we want people to come vulnerable and open and messy and willing to make mistakes, we have to model that for them. Coming, I'm open, I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm willing to clean up my mistakes. I'm willing to hear how I can do better and be soft and gentle in the process with you and with me.
Right. And I think that's the biggest part is with me, like the with both of us, because it's easy for me to do it for someone else. It's so easy to give self-compassion for someone else that the internalized part is, yeah, I like that. Yeah, just how can I be soft and how can I all be here?
Yeah. And when we model that, when we bring everything forward and we're like, I'm all the things, then everyone's like, oh, thank God, because I'm actually all the things too. And I thought I was going to have to hide half those things. And now I don't have to. It's like, what a relief. That like, we don't have to hide. We don't have to manipulate. We don't have to like make ourselves look a different way than is just true and real. And then real community starts to form, which is, I know what you want to create. Awesome. So as now you think about, because you were saying at the beginning, it felt kind of muddy, like you're a little stuck in the mud and you wanted to be able to like that first step, which by the way, is just actually one of the hardest steps. So there are many other hard steps too, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but the first step is like that it can feel like the biggest deal. And one time Peter wrote this article that you might enjoy. It's called like something about like how the Bortens win the lottery or something. I'll have to look it up for you, but it's on the Dragon Tree site. And it was really just about how the biggest difference in our life is almost always the first step, right? The difference between 0 and 1 is the biggest difference always. And to just get yourself in action, it is the most challenging, but the most impactful. And so my suggestion for you, as we've kind of cleared away a little of the muck, I feel, is to actually create a little ceremony for yourself. Like all right, this is a rite of passage into the first step. I think about, I wish I could remember the culture whose tradition it is to not let babies' feet touch the ground until they're 1, I think. And so then at 1 year old, their feet touch the ground and they're like ready to like walk on their own. I don't think they walk right away, honestly, because they haven't touched the ground yet, but it's like that symbolism. And so there's a ceremony around it. It's like time for you to get on the ground and to take your first steps. And so I think that for you to have a rite of passage ceremony for yourself here, where you're indicating very clearly, we're doing this now. And it's so exciting. And there's nothing wrong with anything that's happened already. We actually were just developing and that was necessary. This isn't a like, finally, it's like and now it's time and it's good. And we're going to have a celebration and then you're going to move into your first step and we're going to be able to like witness it and celebrate it. And then we'll continue with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 100 and millionth step that will all be after that first one.
That's the missing piece. That's like, it just, my whole body is like, that's it. That it's the ritual and the ceremony and the making a delineation and honoring it, honoring that step and honoring the big step that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we underestimate what a big step it is because other people do it and they don't necessarily talk about how hard it was, right?
Well,
Or
and we're seeing them at step 150 and 200 and right, like in order to get to where they are, they've already had to take so many steps.
yeah, it's like, how many steps have you taken? Like, I don't know, 20 million. It's like so many. Motivation for you is to make it fun, kind of all the time, as much as you can.
Yeah. Which is what makes like it's enjoyable that way.
Thank you so much for being here. It's been
Thank
so great to get to talk to you about this. And
Yes. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
You're welcome. And we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.